Today's video is going to take you deep into the world of rare Lincoln pennies, and we're focusing on a coin that most people overlook every single day, the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. Many collectors and beginners think that pennies from the 1970s aren't worth much, but that's exactly why this coin continues to surprise everyone. Some very rare examples have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and the current market value for the rarest known high-grade 1977 penny has reached an incredible $46,382. Yes, you heard that right. A common-looking penny from 1977 with no mint mark can be worth more than a luxury car, a down payment on a house, or even several years of salary for some people. In this video, we will explore everything you need to know about this coin, including its full history, the minting details, why some become so valuable, how errors and high grades can change the price, what collectors are looking for in 2025, and how you can check the change in your pocket or drawers to potentially find one worth a fortune. Let's begin with the background of the 1977 Lincoln penny. This coin belongs to the Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. The design on the obverse, or front of the penny, features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln created by Victor David Brenner. This is the same design first used on the 1909 Lincoln cent and continued for decades because it became one of the most iconic designs in American coinage. On the reverse side, the coin shows the Lincoln Memorial Building, designed by Frank Gasparo. This reverse was introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. During 1977, billions of pennies were produced, and most of them had no mint mark, meaning they were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not put a mint mark on its coins during that time. Because billions were made, most of these pennies circulating today are worth only face value. But the key to understanding why some are valuable is to look at two things: rarity at high grades and rare minting mistakes. One of the main reasons the 1977 no mint mark penny can reach a high value is its grade. Most pennies from the 1970s were heavily circulated. People kept them in pockets, jars, wallets, cash registers, and they were used daily. Because of this heavy use, most 1977 pennies today are scratched, worn down, discolored, or damaged. Only a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition. When a coin is graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC and receives an extremely high grade, such as MS67 or MS68, its value skyrockets. Collectors pay top dollar for coins that have nearly perfect surfaces, full original luster, razor-sharp details, and no visible wear. The rarest known examples of the 1977 no-mint mark penny that achieved very high grades have sold for prices climbing into the tens of thousands. This is how a coin that costs just 1 cent can reach the current market value of $46,382. Now let's explore the minting process, and why some coins from this year become valuable not only because of high grade but also because of rare errors. During 1977, the mint used planchets composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the change in 1982 when pennies switched to copper-plated zinc. The heavy copper composition means these coins feel more solid. But even in high-quality mints, mistakes happen. Some 1977 pennies feature double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and even rare transitional or mis-struck varieties. A double die error occurs when the design on the coin is imprinted twice slightly misaligned, resulting in doubled letters or numbers. If you look closely at the date, the word Liberty, or In God We Trust, and see any doubling, you may have a valuable variety. Some double-die pennies from other years have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, so error collectors are always on the hunt for hidden treasures. Another rare error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned during minting. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable it becomes, especially when the date remains visible. A 5% off-center strike might be worth a small premium, but a 50% off-center strike that still clearly shows the 1977 date can be worth hundreds, or even thousands of dollars. Clipped planchets are also possible. This error happens when the metal strip is improperly punched, leaving a curved or straight clip missing from the coin. These can add significant value when authenticated. Even without errors, the condition of the coin is everything. A 1977 penny in average circulated condition might be worth a few cents to a collector who wants a budget example. But a coin in uncirculated condition can jump into the tens or hundreds of dollars. And when you reach the highest certified grades, the value accelerates dramatically. That's why the top example achieved a market value of over $46,000. There are even rumors among collectors that a perfect example, if one ever surfaces in MS69, could break past $100,000. Let's talk about what collectors specifically look for in a 1977 penny to determine if it is worth sending for grading. First, look at the color. Copper pennies are graded not only on condition but also on color: brown, and red. The most valuable coins are full red examples, meaning they still have 95% or more of the original red copper color from the day they were minted. Light exposure, heat, humidity, and oils from human skin can turn a coin brown over time. That is why finding a full red 1977 penny is extremely rare. If you happen to find one untouched in an old roll, jar, or collection, you might be sitting on a pricey treasure. Next, inspect the surfaces closely. You want smooth, clean surfaces with no scratches, no dents, and no discoloration. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, beard, cheek, and jawline. Check the lines of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. All steps should be crisp and clear. Any weakness in strike lowers value. Coins with strong strikes and full details are much more desirable. Now let's move into the story of why some of these coins survived in such exceptional condition. Many times, rare high-grade coins come from original mint-sealed rolls or bags that were stored away and forgotten. A collector or bank might have set aside brand new pennies in 1977 and never opened them. Decades later, these rolls resurface, offering nearly perfect examples to the modern market. This is why treasure hunters today search old rolls, estate sales, and coin collections. You never know when a forgotten bank bag or mint roll might appear. A major part of the excitement around the 1977 penny is that it's still possible for everyday people to find one. Unlike extremely old coins from the early 1900s, the 1977 penny is still out there in circulation. You can check your pocket change, coin jars, drawers, piggy banks, and even the coins you get from grocery stores. People unknowingly spend valuable coins all the time. If a high-grade example managed to stay hidden in someone's change jar for 40 years, it may appear any moment. Let's discuss the market trends for this coin. In 2025, coin collectors have shown increasing interest in high-grade Lincoln Memorial cents. Prices for early 1970s and late 1970s pennies have risen sharply because collectors are starting to realize how difficult it is to find pristine examples. More people are grading coins than ever before, which increases demand. Every time a rare high-grade coin sells for a record price, it sets a new benchmark and pushes the value of similar coins even higher. The 1977 penny is now recognized as one of the standout coins of the decade, especially in the no-mint mark variety. Now let's talk directly about what you can do today if you want to search for one of these valuable coins. Start by examining pennies from your home. Look for coins that appear brighter, shinier, or unusually clean. Set aside any 1977 pennies you find. After separating them, examine each coin under a good light or magnifying glass. Look carefully at the details, surfaces, and edges. Check for any doubling, off-center strikes, or strange marks that do not look like normal wear. If you find a coin that looks exceptionally sharp and clean, consider storing it in a protective holder to prevent further damage. If you want to take your search to the next level, you can purchase penny rolls from banks or coin dealers. Searching through unopened rolls can be extremely rewarding. Many valuable modern pennies have been discovered this way. Additionally, you can attend estate auctions and online listings where old coin collections are sold. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are diving deep into one of the most surprisingly valuable modern Lincoln pennies, a coin that most people overlook every single day. It is the 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, and believe it or not, Certain rare and high-grade examples of this coin have sold for as much as $76,548 in today's market. Yes, a simple copper penny from 1978, a coin millions of people have handled, has turned out to be an absolute treasure for the lucky collectors who found a special one. And in this video, we will explore the full background story, the history, the reasons behind its value, the rare varieties and errors to look for, how to identify a valuable example, what graders check, what collectors pay top dollar for, and finally what the current market value trends show for this coin. So stay with me till the very end. Let's start from the beginning. The year was 1978, and the United States Mint was producing the Lincoln Memorial cent with the portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. The penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, meaning every single coin had real metal value behind it. The Philadelphia Mint, which produced the no-mint mark penny, struck hundreds of millions of these coins. Because of the high quantity, most people assume all 1978 pennies are worthless. But as coin collectors know, the story is always more interesting when grading, condition, rarity, and special mistakes come into play. Not all pennies are created equal. Even if millions were minted, only a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition. To understand why the 1978 penny can become extremely valuable, we have to talk about the minting process. When coins are struck, the dies are fresh at first. The earliest coins struck with brand new dies come out bold, sharp, full of luster, and with extremely detailed features. These are called early die state coins, and they're highly desirable. But as the dies continue to strike more coins, the details weaken, scratches appear, imperfections show up, and the quality becomes average or below average. Now, combine this with the simple fact that very few people in 1978 were intentionally saving uncirculated pennies. The mindset back then was that the coin was worth 1 cent, and that was that. So almost all 1978 pennies went directly into circulation immediately, collecting scratches, dirt, wear, and damage over years and years of handling. That is what creates rarity today. The few coins that were accidentally preserved in mint state condition are the ones now breaking records. When collectors submit these coins to grading companies such as PCGS and NGC, only a tiny number come back with extremely high mint state grades like MS66, MS67, or MS68. These upper-level grades are extremely rare for the 1978 no-mint mark penny, and that is why they sell for thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. But let's go deeper. The history of Lincoln cents dates back to 1909, when the mint replaced the Indian head cent with the now iconic Abraham Lincoln portrait. The design remained basically the same for decades, with minor modifications. By 1978, the reverse of the coin still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959. So the 1978 penny sits in the middle of American coinage history, representing both the long legacy of the Lincoln design and the final years of the copper era before 1982, when the mint switched to the cheaper copper-plated zinc composition. That alone makes pre-1982 pennies more collectible, but again, grade is what pushes the value through the roof. Now, one of the biggest questions is, why does a 1978 penny reach the insane value of $76,548? What makes that particular example so special? The answer is a combination of perfect condition, rarity at the highest grade, and strong collector demand. Not every 1978 penny is worth money. In fact, most are still worth just 1 cent or maybe a few cents in worn condition. But once you get into the mint state category, things change quickly. Let's break down the value levels. A circulated 1978 penny, the kind you find in everyday pocket change, is usually worth between 1 cent and 10 cents depending on where. That's normal. A lightly circulated example might be worth a bit more, but nothing significant. But an uncirculated example, especially one stored carefully since the day it was minted, can be worth $1 to $5. These are common enough, but they are the entry point for collectors. The real money starts appearing with high mint state grades. An MS63 or MS60, for example, can bring $10 to $20. An MS65 example can sell anywhere from $40 to $80 depending on how clean and shiny the surfaces look. But when you reach MS66, the price can jump dramatically into the hundreds of dollars. MS67 is where the huge value spike happens. Because these coins are extremely rare, an MS67 example can sell for over $1,000, sometimes even multiple thousands depending on auction competition. But the real king is the MS68 grade. Only a tiny handful of 1978 no-mint mark pennies have ever received this grade, and that scarcity is what pushed one example to hammer for over $76,548. At this level, collectors will pay anything to acquire the finest known example, because once a coin becomes the best of its kind, it becomes a trophy piece for serious investors. So, what does a valuable 1978 penny look like? First, the surfaces must be flawless. There should be no scratches, no contact marks, and no dull spots. The luster must be bright and original, swirling evenly under light. The details must be sharp, especially Lincoln's hair, beard, cheek, jawline, and the lettering around the rim. The reverse should show crisp lines in the corner columns of the Lincoln Memorial. Even the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial should be clearly visible. These small details help graders determine how exceptional the coin really is. You should also watch for special errors. Although rare, certain mistakes can make the 1978 penny far more valuable. Look for off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and repunched dates. Any of these errors can multiply the value, especially in uncirculated condition. Even minor errors on a 1978 penny can bring $20, $50, or $100 or more. Major dramatic errors can bring hundreds or thousands of dollars. Another key factor is how you store the coin. Copper is a sensitive metal. It reacts to humidity, oils from fingers, and even air exposure. That means if you believe you have a valuable 1978 penny, you should never touch it directly with your hands. Use gloves. Keep it in a safe plastic protective holder. Avoid heat and moisture. A tiny fingerprint can permanently harm the coin and destroy hundreds or thousands of dollars in potential value. Now let's talk about market trends. Over the last several years, collectors have been paying more and more for high-grade Lincoln pennies. Even common-date pennies from the 1970s, once considered ordinary, are now gaining massive attention because the highest-graded examples are so rare. With the growing popularity of coin collecting online, more people want premium examples, which causes auction prices to increase. And because no new copper coins can be made again, the original copper Lincoln pennies have become even more desirable. The 1978 no-mint mark penny in particular has shown strong growth in the last 5 years. Prices for MS66 and MS67 examples continue to rise. And the finest known MS68 example selling for over $76,000 sealed its place as one of the most valuable modern pennies ever. Many collectors now search rolls of old coins hoping to find a high-quality example. Even coin dealers are buying 1978 pennies in bulk because they know that a single high-grade example can be a jackpot. If you want to check your own 1978 penny, examine it under a bright light. Tilt the coin slowly to see how the shine moves. Look for scratches, dents, discoloration, or tiny marks. Any imperfections will lower the grade. If the coin appears extremely clean and almost perfect, you might have a valuable one. But remember, only professional grading can determine the true value. If you believe yours might be uncirculated or special, consider submitting it to a grading service. Now let's wrap up with an important point. The 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that even the most common-looking coins can turn out to be valuable treasures. Most people walk right past these coins without a second thought, but collectors know better. Every coin has a story. Today's video is going to be one of the most exciting and eye-opening coin videos you've ever watched, because we are talking about a coin that millions of people have seen, millions have spent, and millions have in their homes right now. But only a tiny number of people know that this ordinary-looking coin can actually be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, I'm talking about the 1980 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, a coin that is surprising collectors around the world. What looks like a regular 1-cent penny can actually be worth up to $54,274. So stay with me all the way to the end, because I will reveal exactly what makes this coin so valuable, what rare errors and conditions make it worth life-changing money, and how you can check your own pocket change or coin collection today. Let's start with a little history. The 1980 penny was minted at the Denver Mint, one of the most active mints in the United States. By 1980, the Lincoln cent had already been in production for more than 70 years. First released in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent quickly became one of the most iconic and collected coins in American history. The design by Victor David Brenner featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, with wheat stalks on the reverse. But by 1959, the wheat reverse was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse, which remained in production for decades. The 1980 penny features this same memorial reverse, making it part of one of the longest-running designs in US coinage. Now, here is the part people don't realize. While the 1980 penny was minted in large numbers for regular circulation, not all pennies are created equal. Some pennies from this year contain extremely rare minting errors, striking issues, and high-grade conditions that transform an ordinary coin into a collector's treasure. And in recent auctions, select examples have sold for enormous prices, including one extremely rare specimen that sold for $54,274. Yes, a single penny selling for the price of a luxury car. So let's break down exactly what makes a 1980 penny valuable. The first and most important factor is condition. In the world of coins, condition is everything. Grading goes from poor, to fine, to extremely fine, to mint state grades like MS60, MS63, MS65 and beyond. The highest prices are paid for coins in immaculate, nearly flawless mint state condition. For a 1980 penny to reach extreme values, it usually needs to be graded at MS67 or MS68 by a top grading company. These coins show razor-sharp details, full luster, and almost no marks under magnification. Only a handful of coins from any year ever survive in such perfect condition, and that's what drives the price sky high. Next, let's talk about rare errors. Error coins are one of the hottest categories in coin collecting, and they can multiply a coin's value dramatically. The 1980 penny has several known errors that collectors are willing to pay premium prices for. One of the rarest is the off-center strike, where the coin is not properly aligned during minting. If the off-center strike is dramatic and also includes the full date and mint mark, the coin becomes highly valuable. Another valuable error is the double die. This occurs when the die that strikes the coin has been imprinted twice at slightly different angles, causing doubling on the numbers, letters, or Lincoln's features. Doubling on the word Liberty or the date 1980 can make the coin extremely desirable. There is also the famous broad strike error, where the collar that shapes the coin fails to hold it properly, resulting in a wider and flatter coin. Collectors absolutely love these because they are visually striking and easy to authenticate. But what truly shocked the coin world was the discovery of extremely rare high-grade 1980 pennies that displayed both exceptional strike quality and perfect surfaces. These were the specimens that reached the $50,000 level. In fact, the record sale of $54,274 came from a graded penny that achieved a near-perfect mint state grade combined with unbelievable luster. It was described as the finest known example for that year with the D mint mark. That rarity pushed collectors into a bidding war at auction, and the final hammer price amazed the entire community. Now you may be wondering, how many of these expensive 1980 pennies exist? The answer is extremely few. That's what makes them so valuable. There were hundreds of millions of 1980 pennies minted, but only a handful survived in flawless gem condition. Most pennies got scratched, worn down, or damaged through normal use. Only coins that were saved directly at the time of minting, maybe by collectors or employees, had any chance of staying in perfect shape. This is why coin roll hunters and collectors are now checking their old jars, boxes, and rolls of pennies. You never know when a forgotten roll from the 1980s might contain one of these rare gems. Even if your coin is not a $50,000 one, many 1980 pennies in high-grade mint state can still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on grading. Let's talk about how you can check your own 1980 penny. First, look for the D mint mark under the date. Next, examine the surface of the coin. Does it have scratches, discoloration, or circulation marks? Or does it look shiny, crisp, and nearly flawless? If it looks unusually sharp for its age, it may be worth a professional grading. Then, use a magnifying glass to check for errors. Look at the date, look at the words Liberty and In God We Trust, and examine the edges of the coin. Doubling, misalignment, or irregular shapes could indicate an error. If you do find a coin that looks promising, consider sending it to a grading service. Graded coins always sell for more money because collectors trust the certification. Once graded, a coin can be listed in auctions, consignments, or trusted online marketplaces where strong buyers are always searching for rare pennies. Now let's talk about the current market value. Right now, the highest recorded sale for a 1980 penny is $54,274. But many coins are regularly selling in the range of $500 to $5,000 depending on condition and rarity. The market for rare and high-grade pennies has grown dramatically in recent years because collectors want solid investments and unique pieces of history. And the 1980 penny is a perfect example of how a normal-looking coin can turn into a high-value collectible. So if you want to build a valuable coin collection, or if you simply want to check your pocket change for hidden treasure, the 1980 penny is definitely one coin you should be searching for. Remember, rarity, condition, and errors are the keys. A penny that costs 1 cent to make could end up paying for a vacation, college, or even a new car if you're lucky. Before we end, make sure to check every single penny from the 1980s that you find. Many people have sold rare pennies completely by accident because they didn't realize what they had. Don't let that be you. Take the time to inspect your coins, especially the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It might just change your life. Thank you for watching this in-depth and long video about the 1980 penny. If you enjoyed this content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another rare coin update. Share this video with anyone who collects coins or loves discovering hidden treasures. Who knows, maybe you or someone you know is holding a $54,000 penny right now without even realizing it. Today we are going to explore one of the most surprising and valuable modern Lincoln pennies ever discovered, the 1988 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that looks extremely ordinary at first glance but has shocked collectors with its rarity, its backstory, and its incredible value that today reaches up to $23,321 in the right condition. This is a coin that millions of people have held in their hands without knowing they were looking at something extremely special. So stay with me till the end because I will break down exactly why this coin is valuable, how it happened, what you should look for, how to identify the rare variety, and how your pocket change might be hiding a penny worth life-changing money. Let's begin by going back to the year 1988. The United States Mint at that time was producing billions of Lincoln cents every year. The penny had already switched from 95% copper to copper-plated zinc 6 years earlier in 1982. So the 1988 penny is a modern zinc coin with a thin copper coating. These coins were produced in huge quantities mainly at the Philadelphia Mint, which normally does not place a mint mark, at the Denver Mint, which uses a D mint mark, and at the San Francisco Mint, which at that time was only producing proof coins. So, when you look at a 1988 penny without a mint mark, it is almost always from the Philadelphia Mint. Millions of people see that and think it is just an ordinary coin. But the reality is that within these millions, there exists a tiny group of coins struck with a completely different reverse design, a design that was never meant to be used on the 1988 penny at all. This is the secret behind its huge value. During the late 1980s, the United States Mint had been updating and modifying the master dies used for the Lincoln cent. The obverse, the front side with Abraham Lincoln's portrait, was fairly consistent, but the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design, had several subtle changes across years. The most important change relevant to the 1988 no-mint mark penny is that in 1989, the mint updated the reverse die design, adjusting small details in the sculpting and refining the FG initials of the designer Frank Gasparo. These initials appear near the lower right corner of the Lincoln Memorial. On the older design, the F and G have a particular shape, spacing, and thickness. On the newer 1989 design, the initials appear sharper, more separated, and slightly repositioned. These differences were intended for coins starting from 1989. However, due to a die mix-up at the mint, a small number of 1988 pennies were mistakenly struck using the 1989 reverse die. This is what collectors call the 1988 transitional reverse error. This error happened because dies are prepared separately for each year, and the older and newer reverse dies were stored close to each other. When the mint employees were setting up presses to strike 1988 coins, one or more presses accidentally received the wrong reverse die prepared for 1989. As a result, these coins carry the 1988 date on the front but the 1989 reverse design on the back. This combination was never intended, and that is exactly what makes this penny incredibly rare. For most people, the difference is so small that it goes unnoticed. Millions of people have handled these coins without realizing what they were looking at. But collectors and experts know how important transitional errors are. A coin mixture between 2 years or 2 designs always becomes valuable because it proves something went wrong at the mint. These types of mistakes are extremely rare compared to simple striking errors. This is why the 1988 transitional reverse penny has become a treasure among collectors. Now let's talk about exactly how to identify the valuable version. On the reverse side, focus on the initials FG near the bottom right of the Lincoln Memorial. On the correct 1988 reverse, the G has a curved shape and a softer serif, and the letters sit slightly closer together. But on the 1989 reverse, the F is more distinct, the G has a sharper tail, and the space between the initials is slightly larger. The overall engraving looks crisper and more defined. If your 1988 no-mint mark penny has this sharper, cleaner 1989 style reverse, then you have the rare transitional variety. It is easy to check this with a magnifying glass or a good phone camera. This tiny detail can turn a 1-cent coin into a 5-figure treasure. Now let's talk about the value. Ordinary circulated 1988 pennies are worth 1 cent. Even uncirculated common ones are worth only a few cents. But the rare 1988 transitional reverse no-mint mark penny in high grade is worth a fortune. The sharpest, cleanest, most mint-state examples have already sold for more than $23,321. Even circulated examples, if they are the transitional type, can bring hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on quality. But the reason the highest values reach above $23,000 is because only a few examples exist in that top condition. Almost all of them circulated. Only a very small number survived in pristine mint state. Collectors love transitional errors because they are part of history. They capture a moment when the mint accidentally used the wrong die, proving how complex and delicate coin production really is. Transitional errors like the 1988 reverse mix-up join the list of extremely rare and valuable coins such as the 1983 reverse error, the 1992 close AM penny, and the 1998, 1999, and 2000 wide AM varieties. People search through rolls and jars every day hoping to find them. And for the 1988 transitional penny, the value keeps increasing because more collectors want it, and the supply stays extremely limited. Now let's go deeper into how these errors happen behind the scenes. At the United States Mint, dies are manufactured months before coins go into production. Each die is carefully polished and prepared. For major design changes, the Mint creates new master hubs, and from those, they make working hubs and then individual dies. In the late 1980s, this process was still fully mechanical, meaning the chance of human error was higher than today. When new dies arrived, workers sometimes mixed them up accidentally or the storage boxes were not perfectly organized. As a result, a new design die might end up being used on a previous year's coins. That is exactly what happened in 1988. One interesting detail is that the transitional 1988 penny is more commonly found from the Philadelphia Mint because Philadelphia produced a massive amount of coins that year. Without a mint mark, these coins blend into circulation easily, making it difficult to track or estimate how many were made. Many experts believe fewer than a few thousand exist, and among those, only a small number remain in mint state. This scarcity is what pushes the value to $23,000 or more. Another important aspect is condition. The grading scale used by collectors ranges from poor all the way to mint state 60 and above. Coins graded MS65, MS66, or MS67 are extremely rare for this error because these pennies circulated before being recognized. If you happen to find an uncirculated version in a roll of bank-wrapped pennies or in an old collection, you might be holding one of the finest existing examples. Now let's talk about how to check your own coins. Start by collecting all your 1988 no mint marked pennies together. Look carefully at the reverse and study the FG initials. Compare them with known images online of the 1989 reverse. Look at the shape, thickness, and spacing. If your coin matches the newer style, congratulations, you may have the rare transitional error. The next step is checking condition. Make sure the coin is not heavily scratched, corroded, or damaged. Even a worn transitional penny is valuable, but the best prices go to coins that show sharp details and minimal wear. If your coin looks promising, consider sending it to a grading service such as PCGS or NGC. A certified coin will always sell for more because collectors trust the grade. Many people do not know that treasures like this still exist in circulation. With billions of pennies in use, there is always a chance of finding a rare variety hidden in pocket change, in a jar, or in old rolls saved by parents or grandparents. The 1988 transitional penny is one of the best examples of this. To think that a coin worth 1 cent could be worth more than $23,000 is almost unbelievable, yet it is completely true. Collectors around the world watch auctions for the best examples. Every time one of these coins appears, it attracts huge attention. The most perfect ones set new records as more collectors enter the hobby and demand increases. Even beginners love searching for transitional errors because they do not require expensive equipment, just knowledge and careful observation. So now you understand why the 1988 no mint mark Lincoln penny is so special. It represents history, rarity, a mint mistake, and tremendous value. A small detail like the FG initials created one of the most sought-after modern pennies of all time.